There we go. Let's get our other fine Facebook friends and family and folks on up in here. More spinning wheels. Ooh, these ones are not concurrent. There we go. Boom and boom. Welcome in, guys. Happy Monday. It is April 18th. Nice, clean, crisp Monday morning, and we are 10 days from the NFL draft. It's coming. It's almost here. Happy belated Easter, Scott. I'm not sure if you celebrate anything, but I hope you had a good day yesterday. How was your weekend?
Solid day. A little baseball
Nice.
on Saturday, and then Easter yesterday. Watched some FA Cup semifinals with Chelsea.
There you go.
Nice win. On to the finals with Liverpool. But otherwise, a pretty relaxed weekend, which is kind of nice.
Well, there you go. That's good to hear. Congrats on Chelsea. I will say that my wife, she doesn't give a hoot about soccer, but if she likes any team, it's probably Liverpool because she is obsessed with the Beatles. So it's just like I'm like, well, Paul McCartney's an Everton fan. She's like, I don't care, Liverpool.
Doesn't matter why you pick a team, just pick a team.
Yep,
You'll have fun.
for sure.
You'll have fun following it.
Yeah, Liverpool was fun. We went there back in 2016 and did a bunch of stuff around Europe there, and went to the famous Cavern Club. I've never been more claustrophobic and hot in my life, though. Oh my God, it was so hot down there. Let's say hello to a few people coming in here. Mile High Truth coming in saying good morning, all. Where are you guys at on Dalvin Cook's brother? Is that someone that would fit the room? So let's get right into it. Even before we say hello, kicking us off here with a comment. James Cook, running back from Georgia, been mostly a complimentary back for Georgia. Doesn't really have the body type to be like Dalvin Cook, who is more of a 20, 25 carries a game kind of guy. But I think James Cook is a very good pass catcher and a good fit for an outside zone scheme. If the Broncos took him at pick 96, you'd have zero qualms for me. I think I'd prefer him at 115, 116. And I think that Missouri's Tyler Beatty, I believe is how it's pronounced, either Beatty or Batty. Batty'd be cooler, but I think it's Beatty, would be a similar player that you can probably get for around less cost. So that's something to think about as well. But I like Cook. You guys have heard me in here, though. If you've been involved in the show, I am not as much of a believer in a specialized running back room because I think it's super important for this Broncos team to have that, 220-pound-ish power back because of how Russell Wilson plays and the fact that Javonte Williams has not been a bell cow back since high school, I guess. He wasn't that in college. He wasn't that last year. So we're going into the great unknown with Javonte Williams carrying 80% of the carries. That scares me a little bit. I'd rather add security to the room and add another back who can do that kind of thing rather than a super specialized room with a back that, like Cook, he's always probably, what is he, about 200 pounds?
Yeah, he measured 199 at the combine.
Yeah, he can't carry the rock like a volume back can. So I'd personally rather add somebody who can do that kind of role because as much as fans and everybody doesn't want to admit it, injuries happen in the NFL, and I'd rather protect myself for that versus the everybody holding hands, kumbaya, children singing around the world where everybody's healthy and maximized to their true potential the entire season. But I do like Cook. He'd be a good addition to the room. It just kind of, I don't know, it kind of scares me with the unknown of Javonte Williams being a high volume feature back.
I think the main scary part of this, and we touched on this last week, is Mike Boone.
Yeah.
I don't think that Javonte Williams needs to be an 80% carry back.
No.
But who's going to be number two? Because all of this talk about running back, it just makes me think that they don't believe in Mike Boone. Mike Boone was signed last year to be a number two, and then they drafted over him. And then he didn't get any carries. He didn't do anything last year. And he is paid like a number two running back.
Yeah.
So I'm not worried about using a second or third round on a running back unless I need a number two running back. So that's the big question for me. James Cook would be a very good number two complimentary back who comes in and gets 10 to 12 touches, and get Javonte 25 touches a game. Be very good in that role. Are we ready to say that Mike Boone ain't it? That's the big question for me.
Yeah, and it's not so much to me saying that Mike Boone isn't it per se, but we don't know.
Qualified as I said, ain't.
Yeah, ain't. No. You just don't know, right? It's the unknown.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like the argument where I was like, the Broncos have a massive need at safety. It's not that I don't like Caden Stern's potential, but we don't know.
But they've had him. They had him all last year. George Paton should have a pretty good idea. So if the more and more talk I hear about running back with a pretty good high pick, second or third round, the more it tells me they know. Either that or it's just us, jabbering.
The Broncos don't have any super duper obvious immediate needs. So that's probably a little bit of jabbering there. But also, to be fair to Mike Boone, he suffered I think it was a hamstring injury in the combined practices against the Vikings. And he's looking pretty good in OTAs and whatnot before that. So we'll see. But he's also another one. He's about 210 pounds, just not the type that can carry the rock, 20, 25 times a game, which you don't see that too much from teams. But if you go back, I think almost every single running back that has been in the upper echelon of pushing on 800 yards the last 2 or 3 years have been about 220 pounds.
Mhm.
There's a specific body type that you need to have. I think the only guy who doesn't have that type is Dalvin Cook. I remember hearing this. I think it was from Dane. No, who was it? It might have been, I think it was on the Athletic podcast with Nate Tice and Robert Mays, but they mentioned that. So something to consider. Dave Glassman coming in with the stars, I fully believe. Happy Monday to you. Happy Monday, Dave. It's good to see you. Hope you had a good weekend. Also, Andrew Lampy coming in. I think Andrew got a new profile picture here. So good to see you, Andrew. Thank you so much for the support on this fine Monday morning and getting us rolling, paying for a little bit of coffee.
Yeah, going back to the running back types, the immediately, I think work done, the exception that proves the rule. Like, well, what about work done? Well, yeah, work done was when was he drafted? 25 years ago, 20 years ago. It doesn't seem like that long ago, but yeah, there's very few undersized guys, unless they're Blazers. Who was the super fast guy that played? I think he played in Houston for a while and ended up with the Arizona Cardinals.
I can think of a Chris Johnson who is Tennessee
That's what
Titans.
I'm thinking of. Yep, that's him. It was Chris Johnson, but he's a 4-3 guy with good running back instincts. But most of the time, you need, and this is where I've come up with the phrase that I said, if you take out of context, I'm going to sound like a moron. That speed can be overrated. Where the 4-3 guys that are going down on first contact aren't as valuable, especially at the running back position, as the power guys that can break a tackle, because the difference between 4-3 and 4-5 is a broken tackle. By the time you turn around, if I break through the initial line of scrimmage, and by the time you're able to change directions and catch a guy that's 4-5, it's too late. He's gone.
Yep.
So it doesn't really matter if you're 4-3, 4-5. If you can break tackles, that's the more important part of it, is your balance, your vision, and that type of stuff. As long as you are fast enough. Rudy Johnson taught me that. The guy couldn't run 4.6 downhill in a hurricane, but by God, he couldn't be tackled. And he averaged something like 27 yards per touchdown run at Auburn before having a really, really good career with the Cincinnati Bengals.
I remember him. Good back. I think I always picked him up in Madden when I could because I liked him at Auburn as well. The other thing here, and this is a little bit more game theory, but just kind of talking about it, and this is the stuff that I love. What's the chess match that's going on with scheme and what teams are trying to do? But because of the Fangio and Brandon Staley influence in the NFL, teams are playing lighter boxes than we've seen ever in football. There's way more cover 2 or 2 safety shells that are technically match quarters, cover 6 kind of look. But what does that mean? It means that the home run hitters, if you have breakaway speed, for sure, that's still valuable, especially if you're a team that can run out of 12 or 21 personnel. But most teams are going to be playing you with 2 high safety shells. Therefore, you want a running back who has a little bit of size to you, so that way when they get to that second level with the lighter backs with less, or the lighter linebackers with less bodies in the box, they can punish you to the extent where you're going to have to make a choice about playing those cover 2 safety shells or rolling a safety down into more cover 1 and cover 3 looks. So again, it's about the strategy there. And the other thing about the smaller backs too, and this is the Philip Lindsay of it all, is that the smaller backs most of the time cannot pass protect. And that is so important in today's NFL. Now, some guys, they get down there and they're dogs and they'll do it, but it's a lot easier for a 5'11", 220-pound back to take on a free rusher at the edge of the linebacker spot than it is a 5'9", 195-pound running back as well. And you need that running back to be able to pass protect. Again, it comes back to strategy. If I put Philip Lindsay in the backfield, they know I'm not going to use him as a pass protector or a pass blocker. It's a run probably to Philip Lindsay. So you're kind of tipping your hand before you even snap the ball with those kind of guys.
Perry West coming in real quick, and he has a comment here. And remind me, I've got a comment about the pass protection, and then we'll come back to that one from a story with Brian Cushing. So good morning, guys. Thinking about later rounds and prospects in the 5th on Pierre Strong Jr. and maybe a 6th or 7th on Carson Wells at edge. Nick, I'm not as familiar with those players, so if you could help me out a little bit on those.
I do not know too much about Carson Wells other than that he's a CU buff, and I did not watch much CU football this season other than I watched them lose to Texas A&M, and I watched them get beat to, I think it was Minnesota. But Carson Wells didn't really stand out to me. If the Broncos do draft him, I'll have to circle back around and get to him. But Pierre
Pierre
Strong,
had a combine and a half.
yes, he did.
That's why we talk about him.
Yes. I really like Pierre Strong, especially in the 5th round. I could see him going as high as the 4th. He ran really well. He runs a little bit upright, which kind of concerns me with his yards after contact, his balance there, given he is so upright. If you get at his ankles, I think, it's kind of timber. But if he gets in the open field, he's a slasher. He can run. I think he's one of the better open field backs if you get him in space in this class. So I really like Pierre Strong. If you can get him in the 5th, there's no problem with that. I feel like consistently in our mock draft Mondays or whenever we do the simulators that I'm looking at all these good running backs at round 4, and it's like, I think I'd rather wait on the running back. And then they're always gone by when the Broncos pick round 5. So
the simulators like the running backs. They do. They haven't devalued that position for sure. Appreciate the support, Perry.
Yeah.
We'll look more into that for sure. But real quick on the pass rushing and pass protection. I was watching USC practice when they had Matthews. They had who's the big inside linebacker? They
Ray
had
Malaluga.
Yeah, they had him, and then they had Brian Cushing. Those were their three linebackers. They had a freshman come in, and I can't remember his name, but he was the number 1 running back in the country on Rivals, I think. I don't think we were quite as high on him in Scout at the time, but he was like number 1. And in shorts and T-shirts, I'm like, literally, I was actually writing, I was covering for the publisher that week doing practice reports. I'm like, he's not just like the best freshman. He's literally one of the best players on the field in shorts and T-shirts, just his change of direction, everything a little undersized. And then they went pads, and I don't know how he did it, but he set up to pass protect, and I don't know how he did it. But Brian Cushing, I swear to God, it looked like an animation of him turning into a giant sledgehammer, and just went boom right on top of his head, like just crunched him. His knees buckled. He fell down, and that was the last I heard him. It was like that was it. It was like, okay, yeah, it's a grown man's game out here. And, he had an okay career, but it went from, okay, this is the best player out here to, oh my God, I think Cushing just killed him in pass pro. So it was, you're absolutely right. You can get some of those guys that can attack first, don't try and crush, and they'll come up and get the guy in the chest before, attack that guy and punch him in the chest before he can unload on you, because that was scary. That was a scary moment. I'll never forget it.
And honestly, for me, it's a non-negotiable for drafting running backs. If you cannot pass protect, I am not using a draft pick on you. That's probably, obviously, running the ball is the most valuable, but after that, it's the pass protection aspect of it, because I'm not looking to keep tight ends in line as much as possible. I'd rather keep the running back there. Jacob Foster coming to the support, this silent one, as Scott likes to say. Hope you and your family had a fantastic Easter, Jacob. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well on this fine Monday morning. Also, James Hyatt's in the house. Good morning, Nick and Scott in Broncos country. DWI guys saying good afternoon, gents in Broncos country. Good to see you, Ethan. Hope you had a good Easter across the way. Maybe you don't have work today. I think the people in London take Easter, the holiday aspect, a little bit more grandiose than the U.S. I was listening to it the other day, taking Friday and Monday off. Man, that would be nice. What's going on with the U.S. holidays? Come on, guys. There's Scott also. Good morning, Scott. Silver Yoshi. Don't recognize this name. Morning, Scott. Good to see you, Silver Yoshi.
I was in early, so I said good morning to everybody. So don't take offense. That was before you got here, Nick.
I'm already offended. That's I wake up. No, Sean Burns in the house. Good morning. Hope you all had a wonderful Easter. I did. Went on a nice hike yesterday. It was beautiful, overlooking the Samish Bay, the Bellingham Bay, and it's pretty cool. Pretty awesome hike. Sunny Days in the house too. Good to see you, Sunny Days. Silver Doshi also coming in saying, hoping for Abraham Lucas at 64. Honestly, he can definitely play right tackle for us. And Connor Klein also saying, good morning. Abraham Lucas is the guy for 64. That's your guy, Scott.
Either I've convinced some people or, it just makes sense. And people are starting to, because, I don't pay attention to enough other people to know if they are picking up. I know some of the Broncos chat people that we've been convincing that this group should understand that's what we want. But I don't know if it's been picking up around other circles that this should be the guy, because it'd be a great pick. I love him. He's got such a strong core. He's one of those guys that, you see him and it looks like he's about to be rocked back, and he doesn't. He holds his base, and he's got really good feet, had a great combine, great size. There's just a lot to work with there. I'm a big fan of his.
Very good player. I wish he was a little bit more dominant in the run game. And I know that, the air raid. Didn't play the air raid last year, folks. It was not in an air raid system last year. I had a chance to move a little bit of bodies. Didn't really see that from him so much. Also in 2020, Kayvon Thibodeau took him to the woodshed. That was Kayvon Thibodeau, top 5, top 10 pick. But you want your offensive lineman maybe to lose, 1 rep, 2 reps. And that's not even considered good if you're doing that.
It's a growing moment. Moment.
No, totally. And the thing also about Abraham Lucas is, this is the thing we talk about tackles and the value of tackles, is there's not many men on earth who have the actual body type necessary to play the position. Now, you look at wide receivers, there's all these different skills and body types. You look at running back, you look at linebacker, you look at safety. Offensive tackle, very homogenous, the body type, the height, the arm length, the base, et cetera, et cetera. He fits in that box of somebody who actually has that. There's a reason that you don't find many undrafted offensive tackles or day 3 offensive tackles. Heck, even day 2 offensive tackles, because the guys with the body type and the athleticism go like that. They're easy to identify. And teams know that. You can find a 6 foot, 4'5", 40, 210-pound safety everywhere, undrafted. That body type is everywhere. You don't find the tackles, so got to jump on those guys.
Yeah, 6'3", 300 pounds grows on trees. It really does.
Interior offensive line too. Yeah.
High school teams are chock full of 6'3", 300 pounders. They really are. As crazy as it sounds, they really are. Yep. So, but once you get over that 6'5" range, you're in rarefied air. And a 6'6" guy, 315, who's running a sub 540. Yeah. There's only a handful of those guys every year.
And it wasn't even the 40 for me that was that super. Obviously the 40 for Abraham Lucas was impressive. I know I've said this on here before, but Indianapolis put in a new track 2 years ago. Didn't have a combine last year, so this was the first year on that track. Everybody ran faster than they were, even at their pro days. It was a super fast track at Indy this year, to the point where some teams are adding a dummy variable and increasing the 40 times by, a tenth of a second, which makes a significant difference. But big one for me with Abraham Lucas was that 20-yard shuttle. Man, 20-yard shuttle is typically a very good indicator for offensive linemen, and he was like in the 97th percentile. So yes, please, would love him.
Yeah, he was a 4.4, which is solid.
Yeah, very, very good for a 20-yard shuttle, and that's a very good number for especially the outside zone. EJ coming in saying, good morning, Nick and Scott in Broncos country. Broncos for breakfast is always the best remedy to get rid of a case of the Mondays. Well, that's good to hear. We'll appreciate that. Luke Wright coming in.
Man, no. Would someone ever say that? No, man. Office Space. I love that line.
That is a very good movie. Is it Bolton? Is the guy's name?
I don't know. I had it on the other day because I was looking something else up from that movie. Probably that line. Oh, man.
Luke Wright coming in too. Good morning, Nick and Scott. Good to see you. Sean Burns saying, don't forget to like and share. Thank you so much. Joey Budke coming in saying, good morning, Broncos country from Japan. Joey, wow. I didn't know you were in Japan.
Nice.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Dave Glassman, obviously. Tim, Bo Slice TV on Twitch. Morning,
that's Stone Cold Tim.
This is Stone Cold Tim.
Yeah, that's our friend Stone Cold Tim.
Well, good to see you, Stone Cold Tim. Nice to put a face to the name. And we got to say hello to our Twitch people. Ashton's in the house too. Biggie Bronco, US Dave, Jeremy's in the house. Carolina Lins, Kayleon Green, Greg Smith is in the house. And Dom Hamilo coming in. Good morning, Nick and Scott in Broncos country. Hope everyone had a great Easter Sunday. Great Easter Sunday. Question, boys. Do you think the Broncos should go after some of the Georgia Bulldogs offensive linemen, or will they be gone by pick 64? The only one who comes to mind for me as a draftable Georgia offensive lineman is Salier. I believe is how you pronounce his last name.
I don't
think Salier. Yeah, and I don't think he's a guard, and I'm not looking to use a 64th pick on a guard. I'd rather go for a pure center, not a pure center type, but somebody who projects more to center, or an offensive tackle. Guard is the one position where I'm like, if they can play guard, it'd be nice to have a contingency plan for after the season for Dalton Reisner, because he's going to be a free agent, but not using 64 overall on a pure guard. Not for me.
Yeah, I've seen him. I think someone was it Jordan that mocked him to the Falcons in the with their second or third pick.
I think so.
Right? And I was like, that seems a little high for me, though they could use it. And he played tackle. You want to talk about that small sample size. The Georgia fans, they're not high on Aiden Hutchinson because Jamari Sawyer whooped his butt in the bowl game. took it to him. So, again, I'm not going to worry too much about one game, one way or another. Someone can get on purple patch and get going. But Jamar Sawyer's a good player, but not for me at that high. Not for me.
Good player. You're right. And Georgia uses really tight splits on the offensive line with a lot of tight ends. So the tasks and the spacing that those tackles play with is a lot of times, I think, equally projectable to guard. And I think Salyer is going to be a guard in the NFL. Kathy coming in over in Germany. Guten Morgen to you, Kathy. I guess it's actually afternoon. I don't know the German word for afternoon. So it's morning over here, though. Hello, Nick, Scott, and everyone else. Didn't think you were going live today. Lucky me. We go live every Monday. We've been going live every Monday for, God, who knows how long. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. And actually,
about a year.
Wednesdays and Fridays this week and next week. So keep hanging around. I would like Darian Beavers as an inside linebacker at pick 96. So Darian Beavers, linebacker from Cincinnati, somebody who's actually pretty good player and hasn't been talked about much because of the depth of the linebackers in this class. This is a very good, very fat grouping of linebackers in terms of like round 2 to round 4. So Darian Beavers, do you have any much thoughts, Scott?
I like him. I do. 6'4", 240 pounds, good size. He brings something a little different there with his size. Gives him some versatility there. Mm-hmm. You've got a guy like that on the roster that I absolutely love, who's a little bit bigger in Jonas Griffith. So, doubling up on there and getting some depth, if you're able to get him a little bit later on, 96, I think that'd be a solid pick. I do like him.
Yeah, he's a glass eater, man. He's very tough. Everybody keeps screaming for coverage linebackers in Denver, but it's kind of like the same conversation as a dominant nose tackle. If you have a linebacker who is so big and strong at the point of attack and very good in the run game that you don't have to allocate more linebackers to stop the run or more defensive linemen to stop the run, guess what? That means you have more bodies to play in pass coverage. That means you don't have to have linebackers against running backs or tight ends that often. Now, sometimes there will be some schematic, and it's going to be a chess match. Every game's a chess match. Teams will try to isolate that linebacker who's not as good in coverage against a running back. But you know what? As long as they keep him in front of them, you're going to have help on the defense there. That's something I'd be okay with. You're never going to have a perfect defense. Ball has to go somewhere. It's like people screaming about the linebacker when the Broncos had Bradley Roby, Aqib Talib, and Chris Harris Jr. If I will take a team funneling the ball to the middle of the field to the tight end or the running back every time versus killing you with the wide receivers. We have enough data at this point to understand that that is a far less explosive play, one that's not going to kill you as much as the wide receivers in EPA per play. So the ball has to go somewhere. That's, I guess, the bottom line of it. David coming in here. Good morning. I don't recognize this name. So good morning to you, David, over on
David.
YouTube. Happy Monday to you. Hope you had a good Easter. Good morning, my fellow Broncos maniacs. Sorry to change the subject, but defense is the key. Defense is the key. Okay, so my question is, who would you take at 64? Brian Asamoah or Brandon Smith are on the board? Neither. Neither of these guys, to me, are physical enough to play linebacker at the position. I honestly think both of them are closer to that buck kind of position. I think it's called buck, the hybrid safety / linebacker position.
He's so big. I mean, Brandon Smith is huge.
He is one of the softest players in the entire draft. Maybe you want to play him as a kind of a pass rusher, but his instincts are not very good, and he's pretty soft. I know he's a freak athlete, but there's a reason that the linebacker has been the position that busts the most in the first round of the NFL, because it's good to have athleticism, but it's not baseline. You need to have the processing, the physicality, the ability to key and diagnose, and then the athleticism. And both these guys, to be honest with you, both these guys I love as kind of a slot coverage option because of the athleticism. Both of them also have incredible length. And if I'm just having, you are playing zone technique here, you can come in against the run some, but I'm mostly playing you in space because I don't trust your physicality in the box. That's the type of player that I see these two guys. But at 64, it's a hard pass on both of them for me because I need my defenses to be physical. I think Brian Asamoah is actually decently physical, but I see these guys both more as a kind of an overhang coverage piece, similar to a Isaiah Simmons. Is he a safety? Is he a linebacker? I don't know. It's tough. But one thing I will say again, freak athletes, incredible length on both these guys. And that does matter to me for that kind of slot position.
I would like to take a flyer on him, on Brandon Smith. Again, I prefer the traits there. 6'3.5", 250 pounds.
He's a freak athlete. He's just, this is the unfortunate.
This is finish.
Me. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Finish and drop him on the practice squad and say, fight your way out.
Yeah.
It's in the pit. You're in the pit now. It's like being dropped in Oklahoma. Either you're going to get washed out or you're going to learn. It's time to come out of there. No, I wouldn't want to use a high pick because of all the reasons Nick is saying, but could you take a chance on a guy like this at the very end if he's still around? Because everybody's like, listen, we don't like the way this guy plays. Well, something might snap for him. There was a story. I'm dipping into my Auburn stories for some reason today. Stephen Davis was that guy. He was 6'2", 245 pounds, and was able to outrun everybody. And, so he ran soft. He was a 240-pound scat back. And they were running like one goal line drill one time. And they said, the defense says, well, who you want to give him the ball? And one of the defensive guys, one of the defensive captains, give it to that big, unflattering, feminine sounding name. And Stephen Davis, took it, and he got behind his pads and he leveled somebody and went behind it. And it was like, my friend who was covering the team at the time, he tells me, he goes, the guy who's standing with us goes, wow, that was awesome. He goes, that wasn't awesome. That's sad. That's sad that he's got all of that in him and he hasn't shown it at all because he didn't have to. When Stephen Davis got to the NFL, he learned, and Stephen Davis was a bad man in the NFL because he learned he had to run with power. So while the old Southern saying is, if they don't bite you as puppies, they're not going to bite you as dogs, maybe a guy like Brandon Smith could learn, if you drop him in the grinder of a practice squad and say, you got to fight your way out of here.
Yeah, definitely. And sorry for cutting you off, Scott. I got way too excited.
No, that's okay, because I was agreeing with you. I was. I really was.
Yeah.
That's all. Otherwise, if you were disagreeing with me, I'll let you say, but I was actually agreeing with you.
Yeah. This is the one that it's a little bit of an offensive slogan. But Brandon Smith to me screams, looks like Tarzan, plays like Jane.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the classic for him. And both these guys, absolute absolute freak athletes. But I don't think either of them, and I think Brian Asamoah actually processes the game.
Jane wasn't exactly Laura Croft.
No,
Jane was the damsel in distress.
Yeah, that's fair. And I think because of the athleticism for both of them, they both have special teams upside as well. Again, they come back to the physicality, but I thought I would like both in the Jeremiah Wusu-Koramoah role. When both of them had better size and length, I think Jeremiah Wusu-Koramoah had better coverage instincts coming out, but that's where I see them. I don't want either of them coming downhill and having to play physical in the box, which concerns me because I'm looking to play lighter boxes, which means I need those guys to hold up in those situations. DWI guys coming in with the $50 American dollars. Thank you so much. Happy Easter to us. He asks, out of the cornerbacks, who would you rather have? Martin Emerson, Zion McCollum, Marcus Jones, or Cam Taylor-Britt? I can rank these guys in order for you rather than even naming which one I'd rather have.
Off the big brain on Nick.
Okay. For me, I would go number one would be Cam Taylor-Britt for me. I think he's the most versatile. I think he's a really good tackler. Number two for me would be Zion McCollum. I know he tested like a freak athlete. Arm length matters in the NFL, and he did not have great arm length. Also, Sam Houston State's not a very dominant school with good competition, so there's a bit of projection there. Marcus Jones, I love Marcus Jones. He had historically small arm length in the 0th percentile, which again, we keep talking about arm length. That one kind of scares me a bit, but not only is it poor arm length, it's historically small. Also, I've been told from a few little birdies now, actually, that Marcus Jones' shoulder got flagged at the combine, which is a major concern. He's had reconstructive surgery on his shoulder. He didn't participate in some drills at the combine because of the shoulder. So watch out for that. And then last for me, Martin Emerson, slow, not really twitchy, not good change of direction, pure pet press boundary guy, and I don't think he has the recovery speed to, if he gets beat at the line, to catch up. So I'm out on Martin Emerson in this scheme specifically. The Rams the last 2 years, no team's played more off coverage than them. I think you're going to see a lot of off coverage continue here in Denver. Martin Emerson's just not a scheme fit.
Yeah, and I'm going to defer to Nick's expertise on the depth of these guys. So thank you very much, Nick, and thank you very much, Ethan. Love you for it. Keeping the lights on, keeping us in coffee. And again, I've said it before, I'll say it again. You're a big reason we're here and the success of the show. So thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. Ryan coming in saying, good morning. What player from Georgia defense would you like to see in Denver? Yes. The answer is yes.
I know the answer to that one for Nick.
Actually, you don't, because this is a cheat. Okay, well, so who is it then, Scott?
Jalen Carter.
Well, you did know. Okay, well, that's fun. Yeah, Jalen Carter is my favorite player in that Georgia defense. I don't know.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, you do. You do. Yeah, I'm obsessed with Jalen Carter. Like, for real, he is so fun. Watching that, I hadn't had the flutters in my heart of watching an interior defensive lineman the way I watched Jalen Carter play Kentucky since either Jeremy Simmons versus Ole Miss or Chris Jones versus Missouri. Like games that stick out in my brain of like, oh my God, this guy is different. Jalen Carter versus Kentucky, playing a different game than anybody else. And that's even on the Georgia defense. I absolutely adore Jalen Carter. So good. After that, it'd probably be Trevon Walker, Jordan Davis, or Lewis Cine.
I think you said Scene.
I think it's Scene. Yeah, I think you're right. But yeah, it is Jalen Carter. Good job, Scott. Man, we're hanging out too much. We talk a lot. Colby coming in too. Scott for the win. Nick's look was priceless. Oh, let me finish.
Nick coming in with Lawrence coming in with some stars. I'm gonna pull this back down. Basically saying, we could paying Russ. We could pay him for years, or we could rewrite our wrong when we got Manning and actually go out and get a QB now that would have time. I wouldn't waste that backup on just anyone. We need to think past Russ, your second QB. I think the difference here, Lawrence, is you're thinking of Russell Wilson for 7 to 10 years. Yeah. You're not thinking, Peyton Manning was still kind of a question mark. He hadn't played in a year, coming off neck surgery, was at literally the tail end of his career. Yep. Russ kind of is your quarterback of the future. Yep. So, you're hoping you're not thinking about quarterback for 5 or 6 years. So I wouldn't worry too much about the backup spot right now, other than who could I get in here? And I would, Nick, how about you? If you're thinking backup, I might think of bringing in a guy that wants to try and rehabilitate his career. Get a Mitch Trubisky type, and who came in and played in Buffalo and then got another contract. Have somebody like that, a competent guy who would come in on a song that could do a job if needed be. And he's only going to be there for a year. Yeah. But if something happens to Russ, then you've got a good player behind him that you're only going to keep for a year. But that's okay, because Russ is your guy for at least the next 6 or 7 years, you're hoping. Yeah. Otherwise, you made a bad trade. If he doesn't re-sign his contract, it was a bad trade.
Yeah.
If he doesn't extend, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's unfortunate that the Broncos are a little bit hamstrung, I guess, in this way where you made that deal and now Russell Wilson has all the negotiating power, but you'd rather have the quarterback, of course. John Chance coming in with the handsome lip sweater there. Good morning to you, John Chance. I'm very jealous. My wife hates mustaches, and I wish I could grow one, but if I did...
I just wish I could grow one. It doesn't matter about... Period. My wife would be like, yeah, go ahead. Give it a shot. Bet. I give up after like 10 days, and it's like 14 different colors. I look like I have a rainbow across my face. A little red, some white, some black.
I think we should go for that. If Atlanta drafts a wide receiver at 8, Scott's got to grow the facial hair. Kareem Gomez coming in. What school is quietly producing a lot of NFL talent? I looked this up just now. NFL players by college in 2021. Number 1, of course, is Alabama. 2 is Ohio State. 3 is LSU.
Those aren't quiet.
No, yeah. Just keep going down the list. Stop me when one of these is not like the other. Alabama, Ohio State, LSU, Georgia, Notre Dame, Clemson, Iowa, Florida, Michigan, Oklahoma, Penn State, Texas, Miami.
Iowa's the one on that list that you don't necessarily expect. What they've historically done the best job with is finding guys that you can wait on. Is the trench guys, is the OL that you can say, okay, this was a 6'5", 240-pound tight end. And I met his parents. His dad's huge. He's got size 16 feet. He wrestled. Why don't you come in red shirt, and we'll make you a first-round draft pick. We'll make you a draft pick as an offensive lineman. That's what they've done a great job with. And you do 2 or 3 of those a year, you start getting these kind of numbers.
Yeah, and another thing is the system that Iowa's running is a little bit antiquated for the college level. Not many teams are running the under center, quick pass game, outside zone scheme. But because of that, they're essentially running a lot of NFL concepts. And since not a lot of teams are doing that, not a lot of teams have the projectable, easier translatable talent and tape that the Iowa offensive linemen, tight ends are putting up. And shout out to Iowa's defensive coordinator, Phil Parker, because he's done a phenomenal job with that defense as well. Iowa keeps putting in defensive backs in the NFL that are doing pretty darn well. And I think they have the most interceptions in the NFL or in college football over the last 5-6 years. Phil Parker's been incredible. Unfortunately, Iowa's defense is, in the year 3000 and Iowa's offense is in 1980, but is what it is. Kareem Gomez coming in outside the quarterback position. Which position in the draft is thin at the starting level talent? I have 2 that come to mind here for me. One of them is the cornerback position. I think that cornerback is deep, but I don't think there's many, scheme transcendent inside outside kind of guys. Trent McDuffie's limited because of his size and athleticism. I think you have Stingley, who you have questions to mark, and Sauce Gardner's the only guy who answered every single question possible. But after that, it's a lot of very specific type of players that are probably going round 2. And what we know about the cornerback position is outside of round 1, you're starting to get a little bit haphazard with the hit rate there. So cornerback actually is one I think, as far as starting level concerns me. After that, I'd say interior defensive lineman. I like Wyatt. I like Davis. I like Travis Jones. But I feel like there's 6 guys in the first 100 picks that I'm super comfortable
last
with.
year there was 1. So I feel like it's actually
better.
Compared to last year, I think interior defensive line is a much better class.
Yeah. I agree.
So I would go off of that one. So when I start thinking, I'm like tight end. How many tight? You're talking about maybe getting the first tight end off the board at 64 as a possibility. To me, that I know last year was a little bit of an outlier, but that guy comes at 64, then it's a little bit of a question mark. Running back, I don't think there's for sure. There's those guys that on Najee Harris, you didn't really bat an eye when they took him in the first round, despite the fact that you shouldn't take a running back in the first round.
Yeah.
But those are 2 for me, tight end and running back.
Yep, for sure. And we got 5 coming in here, 5 pounds coming in here from Max Power. Saying, heard someone say that the Broncos should trade up for offensive tackle Bernard Ryman from Central Michigan. Would you trade up if he's there at 50? It would depend on the cost. I really like Bernard Ryman. And this is a perfect transition here, Max Power, for us going forward. But I love Ryman. It's going to be about the cost. I might sit there and wait a little bit, but it depends on how much you love him.
Here,
if you think,
let me ask you this way, Nick, okay? Because we always say the same thing on that. It depends on what it would cost you to move up. Is Bernard Ryman a good value pick at 50?
Maybe. The issue is he has a measurable that makes it concerning because his arm length is sub 33, and there is, I think, 1 starting tackle in the entire NFL that fits in that box. So that makes me a little bit concerned about him. He's also older for the position, but I think he's a very good scheme fit as well. That said, that means he's not going to be a fit for every team. So is he good value at 50? I think yes, but some teams might not even have him on their board because of these.
But that's why he might fall down to 50.
Yes.
Because he's got most of the traits of a guy that should go higher than that. So yes, for me, the answer is yes. It would be a good value pick at 50. So if you like him and you can move up pretty cheap, and you use a 50 on him, I don't think you're reaching at all. I think that's good value at 50 for Bernard Ryman. So that's a fairly easy answer for me. Yes, that would be a solid pick at 50. Now, what would it cost you to move up, to answer the question on whether you should or not?
Yeah. I don't think it would depend on the cost. It's that simple for me. But if it's 64 and 75, the issue is NFL teams and just humans in general are overconfident in their own analysis. And I would say the odds of Bernard Ryman hitting at pick 50 are probably equivalent to any player you take there at 64. And now you're lessening your chances of hitting by moving on from 75, which also is another one that has about an equal chance of hitting as whoever you take at 50. So you better be right. And I think that teams in general are overconfident in that analysis. So right now I'm leaning towards no. I like Ryman a lot, but I'd probably, if it's costing me, another pick at 75, that's another dice roll that's better probability.
I was thinking okay, that found 7th rounder that we weren't even sure we had, would you try, throw the 64 and a 7th to move up to 50? Yeah. Again, it depends on cost.
Yeah.
So for me to answer Max's question, is he good value at 50?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what's it cost you? Does it cost you 64 and 200 to get to 50? Okay. Yeah. That's a good pick, but it's not a reach. No, he's not a reach at 50 at all. He'd be a good pick at 50.
Yeah,
just whoever takes him.
I can't remember who wrote this paper a few years ago, but it was about NFL teams just being overconfident, and teams who trade up and give away top 120 picks historically lose because your probability of hitting, you always think too highly, and it's human nature, loss theory. You've already thought in your head so many times, I need this player no matter what. And you can't imagine a reality where you don't have that player, so you're willing to overspend to do that. And that is a very human response versus a analytical approach to it, which, you better be darn right for that kind of situation. So it just adds risk.
Kareem has a good question here, Nick. Which prospects do you disagree on the most? Of course, there's 2 ways to answer this. Which draft prospect projections do you two disagree on the most? There's 2 ways. where you and I disagree on where a player or players that are projected, where do we think are, there's two ways. I think he means the first. Yeah. Where do we disagree on? And then which of the projections that are out there do we think, no way? That's for me, Max Mitchell is one of those guys. Yeah. As far as what do I think? And that might be I know the one too. I'm stumbling out. Logan Hall is the answer to the first question.
Yes.
As far as guys I think that I think that are too high based on overall is Max Mitchell, the offensive tackle out of UL, University of Louisiana. I am not. It's UL, right? Louisiana. I'm not a huge fan of his, and I've seen him, second, third round. I probably would scratch his name off my board, 6th or 7th at the soonest. I think he's too high. But the answer for the one that Nick and I disagree with the most on, and I'll admit it's a smaller sample size, is probably Logan Hall, the defensive lineman who should have been an offensive tackle from University of Houston.
Man, I love Logan Hall. He's a very good player. There's a lot of buzz that he's going to be taken to the back end of the first round because his body type is
offensive tackle-ish.
Yeah, just the length. Yeah, you're right. The movement skills. And there's not many guys who can do the 5 technique, 3 technique versatility that he's offering in this class.
The single best comp for him, possibly complete best upside, would be Richard Seymour, who was just inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Who was 6'6", 290, and played inside at Georgia and really couldn't get leverage. We had this conversation. The guy I was thinking of was Jonathan Sullivan, was 6'3", 320 pounds, and was just a destroyer. I liked him better than Marcus Stroud and Richard Seymour for the college game because they were going against 6'3" guys that were getting under him all the time.
Yeah.
And Sullivan was able to get in and just do more damage. They moved when Seymour got to the pros, he moved to end and became a Hall of Fame player at defensive end. So that would be the best case for Logan Hall.
Yeah, and I love his twist and stunt ability as well from that 5 technique spot. I mean, that'd be a great pick for Broncos. It's pick 64, and good transition here. So I recently did an article over at Mile High Huddle discussing the Broncos. Pro Football Focus recently did a piece discussing the Broncos' best case scenario at pick 64. And they said it was Chad Muma here. So obviously check out Mile High Huddle. There's Luke's mug right there. Hello, Luke. Looks cold there. So they say Broncos general manager George Paton spoke about the difficulties of bringing back all of Denver's free agent linebackers. Josie Jewell brought him back. Good job. Alexander Johnson and Kenny Young still out there. Maybe a little bit overvalued by Broncos country, but I digress. At the 2022 NFL Combine, we'd love to bring them all back, but we can't. Denver re-signed Josie Jewell and added Alex Singleton from Philadelphia, but it's still a position that could use some more talent. Muma grew up in Colorado and profiles as one of the more well-rounded linebackers prospects in this year's class. 6'3", 240-pound linebacker out of Wyoming cleared the 90th percentile at the position in the vertical jump, broad jump, and bench press. Plus athlete with good size and put up PFF run defense coverage and tackling grades all above 75 in 2021. Tight end and offensive tackle are other positions thrown around as potential targets for Denver, but Muma should be a serious consideration if he falls here. He's currently has expected draft position of 59.7 on grinding the mocks. So shout out there to PFF, good content creators, and also shout out to Mark Schrader coming in here. Good morning, driving and listening. Good to see you, Mark. And shout out to Jacob Foster as well coming back in. Also, Sheldon Brown says, good morning, Broncos country. It's great to see you.
And Jacob and Mark, thank you for the stars. Mark, be careful while you're driving.
Yeah, please. Use that text to talk if you can. So for me, Scott, we got to get it moving here. We got to do our draft. Maybe
I forgot about that.
Yeah, maybe you pull that up while I'm talking here. But for me, Chad Muma, I don't know if his best case scenario at 64, but I'd be okay with it. But we kind of talked about it earlier. Right now, I'm much more concerned about the depth at edge, interior defensive line, depth and talent, and the right tackle position. So some guys that stick out to me that I'd much rather have as best case scenario than Chad Muma would be Abraham Lucas and Tyler Smith, 2 offensive tackle, Abraham Lucas out of Washington State, Tyler Smith out of Tulsa. Edge rushers, Arnold Ebiketie from Penn State, Boye Mafe, edge rusher from Minnesota, and interior defensive lineman Logan Hall and Travis Jones. Will those guys be there? I don't know, but this is literally best case scenario.
Right,
and I think that's
case.
Yeah. And we're not talking
what are you doing backflips over. Travis Jones falls to 64. I'm doing backflips.
Yep. 100%. I agree with you. Those guys make much more sense to me, and they are reasonable enough, in my opinion, where we can talk about them in this discussion of our best case. It's not like, Aiden Hutchinson at pick 64. Like that's dumb. But those guys I think are all possible.
Best case, possibly realistic for me, is still Abraham Lucas.
Yeah.
That's where I think Oregon, Boye Mafe, or you hit on one of these twitchy edge rushers. Let's say, I don't know, Nick Benito, or you reach on that guy. But again,
Yeah.
We're talking drafts, so we're talking,
Yeah.
that would be a hindsight pick. There will be somebody that goes after 65 that ends up being a really good player.
Mm-hmm.
That would be best case, but that's hindsight drafts. Those don't count.
Yeah.
So foresight drafts, Travis Jones, love him, absolutely love him. And then Abraham Lucas, I think, has a better chance. I still think Travis Jones should go top 40.
Yeah.
And Abraham Lucas has a chance to drop to that 64 spot.
Yeah, and a few guys that you disagree with me answering Kareem's question earlier, but I really like Arnold Ebiketie. He had a crazy load. That Pro Football Focus just put out a statistic of like the most pressures with the least unblocked, unblocked reps. And Arnold Ebiketie, almost all his pressures came from blocked reps. So he's not a free rusher. He's actually earning those pressures. Yep. And I also love his body type, 6'2", which is short, 6'2" and 5'8" or something, but he has like 34-inch arm length. I mean, he's a crazy body type. That's great for an edge because he's winning the leverage battle and he still has the length to engage.
Nick and I probably disagree a little bit on Perion Winfrey also. I'm a big fan of Perion Winfrey, interior defensive lineman, Oklahoma. I think he should be a top 50 guy. Yeah. That could be a good pick at 64. If for some reason he falls, he fits very nicely into one of those 3-4 end spots for me.
Yeah, I wouldn't push against you too much there. I don't think he has much of an anchor on him. And that to me, I much prefer the read defensive front where I can play less bodies there and put more guys in coverage rather than the straight, pin your ears back, get into the backfield. But Winfrey's length, athleticism, very, very talented player. So I wouldn't fight you too much on that one. But Logan Hall, the one here that actually I want to shout out, that is this a need position? No, but I think what he can offer you to do in today's NFL, again, talking about playing less linebackers and more defensive backs, Jalen Petrie. I absolutely love Jalen Petrie. If he's there at 64, you re-signed Kareem Jackson. So I don't give a bleep. It's a 1-year deal, and his play is dropping. You have Caden Stearns and Jamar Johnson. So 2 5th-round picks last year. I don't care.
What position does Petrie play? Playmaker. That's the position he plays. Is Honey Badger. He plays the playmaker position out of the defensive backfield. Where do you need him? Have him go make a play. He's a football player.
And an extremely intelligent player, great processing, very physical, good tackler. I mean, God, if you want to live in a 4.25 base or a 5.15 or a 4.16, Petrie is going to be one of your favorite players.
Whenever you start doing that, I cannot help but thinking of Monica in Friends.
Going
through the numbers. 7.
It's 7. That's it. Yep.
4.15. Get a 3.16. Get a 4.25. 4.27.
Yeah, God, too many men on the field on that one. Look out, Monica. But okay, so let's get into it now.
Mix it up, move them around a little bit. Anyway,
yeah,
it's a funny skit. If you haven't seen it, it's a funny bit.
It is a funny bit. Yeah, but that's 7. Oh yeah, 7 for sure. Let's moving on. Speaking of 7, we're gonna do a 7-round mock draft now with the Broncos. Scott, I don't know if you already pulled up Pro Football Focus. I was gonna ask if you could pull up the Draft Network because it's okay. PFF. We'll do the Draft Network next time. Just because PFFs, I think they have the best mock draft simulator, but it pisses me off because I feel like no matter what, the board always falls in a craptastic way. And it makes me upset. And especially, Scott, when we do the mocks together, because not only then is the board not falling where I like a lot of the value there, but then the Atlanta Falcons somehow take the players I want one pick before me every time. So let's get into it. 7-round mock draft for the Broncos here over on the PFF simulator. And we'll explain the board for you guys listening after the fact on iTunes. If you guys haven't done so yet, go to iTunes, find the Huddle Up podcast, leave us a 5-star review. Let's get it rolling, Scott. We got 10 minutes left.
All right, I'm going to hit the start draft. We are the Denver Broncos. We're counting down. Tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock. We're not on the clock yet, but it is moving fast.
And Gabe coming in here. What's the deal with the extra 7th-round pick we got? Why wasn't it listed before? I think it was a conditional pick that could have gone multiple ways, and it's one of the picks that we got for the Trinity Benson deal. And I don't know. I mean, sometimes it's just the communication from the league, from the teams, and to the media. So it is official. George Paton kept saying the Broncos at 9 picks when it was listed at 8. Now it's 9. So maybe he knew we were just catching up.
All right. Here's a guy that could be that's on the board. Frankly, I'd rather have Troy Anderson than Chad Muma if he's healthy.
Yeah. God, this is
that's a bit of a I might be the only one, but I like him. I do. I think he's a little bit better of an athlete. And you want to talk about instincts? I mean, the guy played 3 positions in college, for God's sakes, and excelled at all of them.
I don't think he has the instincts of Chad Muma in space. I think he's also not as physical as Chad Muma as well, which again, we talk about that. Sometimes has a hard time getting off blocks, but he's a great athlete. And let's look at some of these picks here that went before the Broncos here. Let's go up to 50 and just kind of read them down real
Okay.
quick here.
Starting at 50, where we talked about trading up to. Running back Kenneth Walker to the Chiefs. Linebacker Christian Harris. Eagles, Matt Corral, quarterback. Cornerback, Kyler Gordon. Quay Walker, linebacker. Leo Chenal, linebacker. Chad Muma, linebacker. Domarvin Leal. Trey McBride, the tight end. Darian Kennard, Abraham Lucas. Nick Benito, Cam.
That's when I'm trading up.
And Kingsley Enigbare.
Yeah, if Abraham, I'm looking to trade up maybe about pick 60, because that's when you're talking about, it's only going to cost us the 6th-round pick to move up. From like moving up to 60, it's going to cost you another day 2 pick. It just is. That's a lot of picks to move up. But from 64 to 60, here's our 6th-round pick. God bless you. We're going to go get our guy. So we're looking at the board here. God, talk about a devalued position here. This is another one that just really ticks me off. I don't really like the board here. I like Josh Pascal, but we keep going with that.
Pascal.
Yeah, he's a very good player.
I like Alec Pierce, but he doesn't exactly fit a need. But if you're like, who do you really like? I really like Alec Pierce.
Yeah, this is another craptastic board for the Broncos. Unfortunately,
that's how it could fall. Check that out.
Perrion Winfrey there.
I might sit on this. If he's falling that much, I might sit on this and wait for 75.
I was gonna say that's okay with me. I'd be okay with taking him here. Let's keep scrolling down just a little bit. Daniel Flowey, Cole Strange, blah blah blah.
We're getting to the spot now where 6 of these guys should be available with our next pick, and maybe the pick after that.
Okay, well, I'm gonna feel you on this one. We're gonna lean into it because you love this guy. I'm gonna give you the floor. Troy Anderson. I don't love the value here at 64, and I will say that his shoulder concerns me a bit. He had reconstructive shoulder surgery in high school, and that's apparently was flagged at the combine. So could drop him a bit, but freak athlete. And honestly, because he's so athletic, if he doesn't work at linebacker, he might even work as a safety type, or he might even work as an edge rusher type. I mean, there's versatility.
You know what you're not saying? A fullback.
Yeah.
You flip him over and put him on the other side and make him an H-back. I mean,
yeah.
He played, if he was coming out right now and he just got done, he was a quarterback that we moved to running back. And if he stayed at running back for 4 years and you brought him in as an undrafted free agent and said he's going to be a fullback, you wouldn't bat an eye.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't really want to take that at 64. But,
I know, but I'm saying to hedge against your bust potential.
Yeah, and I mean,
I think I just saw Perrion Winfrey go.
That's okay.
Yeah, at 67, because Jason said, take Winfrey. He won't last till 75. Good call, Jason. He didn't.
Thought about it, and that's okay. I just wanted to give you the floor.
And there's Josh Pascal went the next pick.
Yep. So is what it is. Go ahead, Scott. Let's read the board here for who we have available now. The Broncos are on pick 75.
Pick 75, you've got Brian Asamoah, who we talked about earlier, ranked 39th in here. We'd probably get a decent grade for that if we didn't just take Anderson. Wide receiver, safety, Kirby Joseph. Wide receiver, Dylan Parham, Carson Strong, Kellen Deesh, Damian Pierce, Khalil Shakir, Cole Strange, Marvin Austin, Max Mitchell, Nick Cross, Marcus Jones. A couple of those guys would be willing to wait until pick 96 for.
Okay, well, the one that's sticking out to me in this one is somebody that we haven't drafted before, but I would love to give them a shout out. Is Dylan Parham. I think he's been a really good.
I could use some depth at the interior line position, and I really like Dylan Parham. I do like him a lot,
and I see him as a center.
Bring him in as an interior lineman, and let him compete.
Yeah, and talk to me, Dylan Parham. Was he at the Senior Bowl?
He was. That's most of the guys I pound the table for were at the Senior Bowl. So let me bring up a video of him. Football Senior Bowl cuts.
He's an Atlanta native. Did you know that?
I did not know that. He was at the Senior Bowl. Why? Am I thinking I thought I had video of him up. Maybe I didn't. All right. Maybe I'm making stuff up. I thought he was at the Senior Bowl.
Well, he had a pretty darn good combine overall. He's a little bit light at about 310, but he has 33 and an 1/8 arm length, and he ran a sub 540. His vertical jump.
He's got 33.5-inch arms at 6'2", 313, with a wingspan of almost 81 inches. So he's got reach at 6'2". He's got what's that? 6'9". Good Lord.
Yeah.
He's got a 6'9" wingspan on a 6'2" frame.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he's a great moving player too. This is a really good center
I'm
class.
a big fan of him. I think he comes in and he's competing and pushing your interior line right away.
Yep. On tape, I thought sometimes he gets a little bit overextended and out of control. So if he can control that a little bit more, that's fine. But he has the movement skills to be a great player at the center position in an outside zone scheme. So I love him here. I would be ecstatic about grabbing him here at that selection. So now the Broncos are back on the clock here at pick 96. Scroll back up, Scott. I kind of missed some of the top guys there because I was.
Yeah, it was Kellen Dyche, Donovan West. Not too excited about either of those two. We're not going linebacker again. Max Mitchell, no. You'd have to fight me on that one. Zach Tom, we could talk our way into, but we kind of just went interior line with Parham. Same with Fortner. Romeo Doubs is a solid wide receiver, but probably not. I could go tight end. I do like Greg Dulcich. I could go running back. And then we get into our running back again, or we could go edge. We could take a flyer on an edge or a corner here with D'Angelo Malone and Zion McCollum.
Yeah, keep scrolling down just a little bit for me, just because I want to see how the board plays out. There's Matt Walesko, Myjai Sanders, Jeremy Ruckert's down here still. I think we should wait on the tight end position. K. Dot and Jeremy Ruckert might be there. Honestly, Scott, the guy that I'm going to say here that, again, we've kind of gone a different direction in this draft so far. And one of my favorite players in this draft is Brian Cook, the safety from Cincinnati. He is one of the best tacklers in this class. He can play the two high shell, he can play in the slot, and he can play in the box. He had a shoulder injury this last year that kind of made his play drop a bit, but I've been listening to some people in the know, Greg Cosell and it was Lance Zierlein, raved about Brian Cook. And I think you only have Kareem Jackson here for one more year. You only have you have 2 5th-round safeties. I have no issue bringing in another guy like Brian Cook. And again, the tackling, the ability to come from depth and come downhill and fill, I think is as good as any safety in this class. And he's one of the guys that I don't want to say pounding the table for per se, but really, really like him here. I think this is a good value. And if you want to fight me on it,
at 110, Sam Williams went at 109, Zion McCollum went at 104. So and D'Angelo Malone went just after that. I do like D'Angelo Malone. We got back-to-back picks here, and there's your Kate Otten. Not interested in Bailey Zappi this high. Nope. We could go Cordell Flott.
His body type is too weird. I think you should go later. 2 guys that are sticking out to me here in this one. Matt Walesko is one of the names. I think that we could maybe even wait to get Braxton Jones later to cheat the system. There's Jeremy Ruckert as well. We never take Jeremy Ruckert. I think we should take Jeremy Ruckert as one of these ones. He's one of the better blocking tight ends in this class. Some people have him as a late 3. Broncos get your versatile tight end 60 picks later than having to burn pick 64 on a tight end. So I like that one a lot. And let's keep it going here. We're looking here. Tariq Castrofield
would not be a bad spot to take a corner.
No, it wouldn't. I really like Sterling Weatherford too. Okay, the guy here that sticks out to me that's pretty obvious, I think, is Matthew Butler. We haven't taken an interior defensive lineman yet. He's from Tennessee. You already scrolled past him. Yep.
Tennessee. Yeah, there we go.
I really like Matthew Butler. He's got a little bit of inside-outside versatility. He can penetrate pretty well. The Broncos need competition and depth for Deshaun Williams and McTelvin Ajim and Marquise Spencer. They don't really have those bodies right now.
Same guy sitting on top here.
Which guy?
I feel like Bailey Zappi, Cordell Flott, Grant Calcaterra, it's the same guys.
I think now we can start talking Cordell Flott. He's got a really weird body type. 6 foot 170. I also like Uzurike, but we just took Marcus Butler.
Yeah.
So,
but you can double up.
There's Braxton Jones.
It's not like you don't need 290-pound guys in the trenches.
Let's cheat, Scott. Scroll down one. No. Scroll down. There it is. Braxton Jones. Let's hit it home. This is no way he should be there. But that's a great pick for the Broncos there. And now we got a 6th-rounder coming up here. Haven't taken a running back yet. Haven't taken a wide receiver. Haven't taken a quarterback. There goes Ty Chandler. That's unfortunate. Oh, we got Devontae Price right here as well. And Zonovan Knight.
I like Devontae Price.
send it in. I'd be totally fine with Devontae Price. That's a good pick.
Very
For the
smooth
Broncos.
runner. Very smooth runner. Good size, about 205 or so. Let me double check that. But I think he's over 200 pounds. I just like the way he moves. As crazy as that sounds.
No, very good player.
He's 6'1", 200. And he was just so graceful, just very smooth runner with that size. And he'll bulk up. He'll put on some weight too.
Yeah. And
he looked like a former wide receiver to me, the way he moved.
Yeah, he's a good player. Tell me a little bit more about Price, FIU. I'm going to look up some information.
That's what I was talking about.
Yeah, but do you have any more?
I've got some video. I'll put together. I don't have quite enough because the running backs didn't do enough, but I've got enough that I'll put together some video of him of 3 or 4 clips that I can use for shows. I just won't put it on my YouTube channel.
Okay, well, Matthew Butler here, real quick for me. Kind of an interesting player. His agilities were pretty poor at the combine, but his straight line speed and his jumps, his explosiveness were all extremely good. And what I really like about him is he is broad shouldered and has good arm length for his type. He's only 6'4", but he's 297 pounds. You probably put a little bit more weight on him if you want, but I think that's fine for the 5 technique position. And again, he has the length that you want for the position.
So I mentioned size on Devontae Price and what I liked. He measured, I don't know what happened. 6'1" and 1/8, 198 at the Senior Bowl, but at the Combine, and I'm going to go with this one, he was 6'2", 215, 4.38, which is what I saw. That's what my eyes told me. I'm like, he looked bigger than that. 6'2", 215, 4.4, smooth. I like him. I like Devontae Price. Now, if those are, unless NFL.com screwed up, I'm willing to think that there was probably more of a chance there was an input error on the Senior Bowl side of things. That they may have since corrected. Yeah. But Devontae Price, 6'2", 215, 4.4. And again, he's just smooth. He's just a graceful athlete with good size.
He is a good player. That's about the area you're looking for running backs as well. I have Dane Brugler's take here on Matthew Butler, the strengths-wise, says comes off the ball quickly and with good pad level, displays control to peel off contact, able to finagle his way through traffic, claw into the pocket, flashes extra juice when closing on the ball carrier, plays with developed block recognition and won't take himself out of play. And this is some stuff that stands out to me, especially for a day 3 pick. Tennessee defensive line coach Rodney Gardner says he's probably the smartest guy I've ever coached by far. He's a rangy lineman with able to line up across the line with different twists and stunts, has a consistent motor and competitive playing temperament, and he was a multi-time team captain with great leadership intangibles. So you're looking to fill those kind of guys in the room no matter what. Butler's somebody we haven't talked about very much on here, but I absolutely love him at the 4-4-I 5 technique position. And that round 4 spot, if you haven't taken a defensive lineman yet, which we had not, that's a good area to go.
At 232, I'm pretty happy with a punter.
Yeah. I got no issue with a punter here.
And then we got one more at 234 where we're just looking for somebody.
Yeah. Scroll through some of the names here. I'm see who stands out to me. Oh, the cheating one here is we already took a safety, so we probably don't want to take another safety.
Well, we need guys, and again, it's a seventh round.
Yeah.
You're not trying to fill needs in the 7th round. You're trying to find anybody that can even make the roster.
I was going to say, cheating wise, maybe we lean into Dane Belton being so low on this when I think unless he already went. I know he's a safety here. So Tyler Goodson went right there. There's Tyler Goodson. Running back, linebacker, running back. Oh, hey, you know what? Let's take Carson Wells. Let's do it for the somebody earlier was asking about him. I have not watched him at all yet, but I don't think we've taken an edge rusher yet, and we're taking the local kid here to close it out. So boom, Carson Wells looked like he had good numbers there. We'll see if he does anything, but it's a 7th round pick. Not a lot of upset feelings on that one. So, man, we really did not go for the value positions here, but we kind of cheated a bit with Braxton Jones there, round 5. So we'll round it out. Read it out
when your first pick is 64, you're looking for guys. You're looking for your best. I mean, you're always saying you're looking for the best players, but again, you're just looking for guys. 64. If you get guys that are contributing and starting at 64, they're not. All the drafts aren't going to be like the last one for Paton. The team's going to be better. And you're coming in a little bit later with your picks that we can make a pretty good. But with 64, we got Troy Anderson. Love this guy. I think he's one of the best inside linebackers in the draft. Dylan Parham can push at center, at guard. Another big fan of him. Brian Cook.
I love Brian Cook. Very good tackler. Coaches love him. One that flashes a lot on Cincinnati's tape. And if you're looking to play lighter boxes, you need your defensive backs to be great in space and in tackling. And I think Brian Cook, you're talking about, especially, God, this is I think an important point. The Chiefs looks like they're changing their identity on offense, getting a little bit more physical and better yak guys versus the true speed of Tyreek Hill. And so you need your defensive backs to be able to come downhill, close, and tackle in space. And Brian Cook, I think, can really, really do that.
Yep, Deshaun comes in and says only one edge player in the 7th round. We need more edge depth bad. Yeah, I agree. We agree.
Yeah.
But, that's one of the reasons they're also talking about Baron Browning possibly getting some reps over there. And that would be 5. That'd be 5 guys at edge. Depth isn't all that bad, compared to, we're a little spoiled here. Some teams don't have 2 that can play.
Yep. No, absolutely.
Braxton Jones. And again, part of this is how the board fell. I probably would have gone probably if Matt Waletzko is there. I like Matt Waletzko as a project right tackle moving forward. Braxton Jones, really good player. Devontae Price, they like that pick. Again, 6'2", 215, 4'3" and change, smooth as silk running back. I'm a big fan of his. Best punter in the draft. On a 7th round contract, you're paying a couple $100,000 a year, saving $2 million a year on the cap, and maybe even upgrading the position, and then a local edge guy. So on that note, we are at 106. Went a little long. Once about time for us to get out of here.
Yeah, Peter's saying day 3 tackle. Braxton Jones, I think, is a guy who should go with one of the first 120 picks. We just kind of took advantage of the deficiency that the PFF board has here on Braxton Jones. In our opinion, I really like Braxton Jones. One of the better. Went back and watched some of your tape that you had of him. I thought he was actually one of the better run blocking tackles at the combine.
He's got a, you talk about anchor when you were mentioning Perion Winfrey. Braxton Jones has that big butt, that big butt anchor, where he drops down low and he's just, you're not moving him. So he's got that anchor.
Yeah, absolutely. Good player, good developmental player as well. Let's get on out of here. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. DWI guys.
Linebacker forever. Linebacker forever.
It's not that they aren't valuable. It's that
at 64, it's good.
Yeah, at 64, you don't not worry. If you took a puncher at 64,
I think he'd be your. Again, him and Baron Browning would be the 2 best athletes at the position right there. Would be a good way to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And you get him some time too, because Josie Jewell's contract is easy to get out of if it doesn't live up to it, if he gets hurt again. So, all right, guys, well, we're going to get on out here. Make sure you're following Scott on Twitter. Scott is at Scout Kennedy, and I am at Nick Kendell, MHH. Appreciate everybody for joining us today. Also, make sure you're following us at Huddle Up Pod, as well as at Mile High Huddle. If you haven't done so yet, join our Facebook communities, facebook.com/Mile High Huddle, as well as facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod. Like I hinted at it earlier, make sure you guys are finding us on iTunes. Scroll on down, leave us a 5-star review and a comment. We're going to, after the draft at some point, I'm going to come through and get through a bunch of those. I haven't checked that in a bit, but I know that we kind of stalled a bit on the ratings or on the reviews on iTunes. So please, that helps us a heck of a lot if you do that. And the number one thing, YouTube. Please subscribe, like, and share our channel on your socials for our YouTube channel. And if you don't have a YouTube account, create one, subscribe to us on there, join the conversation on there as well. I know we have our Facebook ones, and if you prefer that route, that's fine. But I would say the best avenue to enjoy and consume our content is joining us live via the YouTube channel every week. So appreciate you guys. Let's get some comments on the way out of here. Greg Smith saying, great breakfast, Broncos country. Thank you so much. I need to eat. I haven't eaten yet. Kathy coming in saying, have a good day, everyone. See you next time. EJ coming in, great show. Nick and Scott, have a great day, everyone. Smash the thumbs up button and subscribe. US Dave also giving the thumbs up. Perry West, we got your boy Perry West. There you go. That edge rusher there at the 7th. And guys, I know that's talk about the value of the positions. Sometimes you got to go with what the board says, right? Like if Boye Mafe fell to pick 64, we're not even having a discussion. We're slamming the button to take him, but that's just the way the simulators work sometimes. So it's what it is.
Yeah. People ask, why'd you take this guy?
Oop, bless you.
I'll get over this one day. It's only been a week. So again, it depends on how the board falls, where you like guys, and every draft's going to be different. And again, With the first pick at 64, it should be a little bit. It's going to be an interesting night. Are there going to be some movement, or are you going to sit back at 64? So it's going to be an interesting couple of days for the draft for the Broncos. And just remember, you got Russell Wilson.
None of it matters now because we're there. And I just real quick wanted to show off my my buddy boy here, just real quick, because we had a good weekend. So hopefully everyone has a good one. Get outside, enjoy yourself. Remember, it's not all that important. And there's big old Summit buddy there with about a 200-foot drop behind him, overlooking the sound of one. Yeah, I got a tight hold of his leash. Don't worry. But appreciate everyone. You have a good one. Have a great day, and we will see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Choose kindness, choose compassion, and go Broncos.